Hello, YouTube. This is Chelsea the Destroyer. Today we're going to watch a video by Sarah Spaceman about the biggest cosplay contest cheating
why
scandal.
Does she even have that lever?
Because it's funny. In years. So, cosplay cheating scandal. That's what we're going to watch. So grab your snackies, grab your bevies, let me know what you eat and a drink down below. And let's get to watching.
This cosplayer disguised someone else's work as their own, used it to cheat in a cosplay contest, and then got caught red-handed.
I want to know how they got caught red-handed.
But how do you cheat in a cosplay contest? Well,
I mean, you just explained it.
I've been competing in cosplay contests for...
Pretending like whatever you're wearing is your own work is the biggest way of cheating in a cosplay contest. Like, I totally made this, except you didn't.
10 years, and I've judged them for like 6. So I'm gonna make sure you know how these contests work to explain the biggest cosplay contest cheating scandal in years. So we're not talking about a Halloween costume contest where the guy dressed as Jesus wins because that's funny. These are craftsman contests that usually happen at anime, comic, and gaming conventions, and they focus on the quality of the handmade cosplay. So you're getting judged on your craftsmanship. Judges are looking at the sewing, the prop work, the foam work, and 99%.
And the painting, and the connection, and the styling, and the 50 billion other things.
Of the time, the person competing is also the person wearing the cosplay, but there are also plenty of competitions that will let you use a model to wear the cosplay instead. The creator just also has to be present. These contests were born in a time before high-quality pre-made cosplays were widely available. A time where if you wanted to cosplay most characters, you had to make that cosplay. And
God, back in the day, even getting a wig was difficult back in the day. Like, now you can just go on like eBay, Amazon, AliExpress. There's very specific like cosplay sites that now exist. You can get at your fingertips like high quality costumes for under $200. Like, it's crazy. That's not even talking about the commissioners that are like affordable now. It's like crazy. I don't know. You just have so much available to you now.
These contests remain a way to reward and celebrate people for honing and learning all of these skills to bring everybody's favorite characters to life. And the stakes can range anywhere from international trips to thousands of dollars to just bragging rights. But these contests kind of remain the Wild West with wildly different rules and regulations between each one. But the biggest general rule that most of them have is that you yourself must have made some percentage of that cosplay.
Correct. I've had to argue with people multiple times. Like, okay, well, if I commissioned it, then it means it's handmade. Yeah, but not by you. You don't get to enter in someone else's work. If you want that cosplay to be entered, then the person that you commissioned it from has to be there and has to be the one that's entering the costume. You don't get to do that. And you don't get to enter in my craftsmanship cosplay contest with someone else's work. And I've had to explain that to one person multiple times. Well, what if no? The answer is no. If you did not make it yourself by hand, then the answer is no. You cannot enter it into my contest. It's a very black and white situation. Quit trying to argue with me about it.
And usually that percentage falls at 70%. But the more you hand make, the better. Winners are determined by a lot of different factors, but the short version is the best made cosplay wins.
Yes.
Not the flashiest or the funniest. And
or
there
the
are
biggest.
only 2 ways you can cheat in a cosplay contest. And the first is by lying. Cosplays are really difficult things to make, and sometimes it takes a village, and getting help from a friend putting on thousands of rhinestones is not inherently cheating. But buying an entire cosplay and passing it off as if you made it yourself is. We'll get to that. The thing is, though, some people do just buy pieces for their cosplay and...
Not cheating this group below. I love them, but some of them are wearing t-shirts, which is not cheating. Okay, this is also important to note because, like, this is at MomoCon. You can kind of see like MomoCon's logo up here. And also I just recognize this backdrop. But this is at MomoCon. Okay, MomoCon does a thing where they have a set amount of judged like time slots, or I guess slots, right? But then they open up the ability for you to not be judged, but you just to walk on the stage and show off your costume. So like they don't care if your costume has already won an award, if you made your costume, whatever. You can sign up just for the walk on. You're not being judged. You're not qualified to be judged. Like it is literally just a fun, you get to walk across the stage and show it off. I get around that by like, instead of doing that, I have a completely separate contest, quote unquote, that instead of having cash prizes, it just has little trophies, and like you can, it doesn't matter, it's literally just there for fun. You can walk across the stage, you can show off your stuff, whether you made it or not is irrelevant. It's literally just there for fun. They kind of do it as a combination at their one costume contest. So they have like the craftsmanship thing where like things are judged, and then they just have slots, just I guess kind of to waste time, I suppose, like to fill the like costume contest time slot. You can just walk across the stage if you signed up to just show off your costume. So that's probably what they're doing, because they have pretty much just bought all their stuff for the most part. So like they're probably just showing off their stuff and having fun. This is not like they're being judged about their craftsmanship of making this. They're just having fun.
That in itself is not inherently cheating, but it's not always a good idea. If someone enters into a
So I'm gonna be honest, I don't like that she necessarily used that group, because in that specific instance, they probably didn't enter in to be judged in anything. They're probably just on the stage, because that is a thing you can do at that specific convention. So I feel like that's not maybe a good example, but I do get what she's talking about. It's both not necessarily a good example because she had to make the thing of like she's not shading them, because like that's not what they are currently doing necessarily. But I guess it is a good example of like, hey, see, they bought all of this stuff so that they wouldn't be eligible for saying that they had handmade this, if that makes sense.
Contest in a cosplay that's this big armor piece that they made, and that looks amazing, but then they just bought some pants. You're not disqualified for not making your pants, but the judges cannot judge you on a pair of jeans that you yourself did not make. Then in the same competition, somebody enters in the same cosplay of the same character, which happens a lot actually, and this cosplayer made both the armor and made those pants. Both people did a great job on the armor, but who do you think the judges are going to place higher? When you buy something for the cosplay, you are eliminating a piece of that cosplay that could have been used to show the judges a...
I cosplay multiple things. The last thing I cosplayed was from Apothecary Diaries.
different skill. And nowadays, competition is really fierce, and showing every skill that you possibly can is really important in these contests. The other way you can cheat is something we call sandbagging, and sandbagging usually means being bad on purpose because you're not taking your opponent seriously, but somehow in cosplay we gave it an entirely different definition.
Yes.
Sandbagging in cosplay is entering a cosplay that has already won a major award into another contest.
Yeah.
If you win like a smaller award and you enter again to
this is Jeanette Media winning Best Paint at Holiday Matsuri. Best Paint is a sponsor award and therefore not considered a major award.
try to get a better award, that's usually totally fine. But if a cosplay has already won Best in Show, most contests will not allow it to be entered. Though Wild West again, some contests are actually totally okay with double dipping, but
Crown doesn't have any rules against it as long as the cosplay hasn't won in Crown. So even if this cosplay won a major award, she still would have been allowed to enter. I have, like, if your costume has won any, like, award, you're not allowed to enter because, again, I've had people that were trying to be local cosplay guests at my show. They were local cosplayers. They were pretty big on the scene. They won awards for their cosplays at AWA and then entered the same cosplays into my costume contest, argued with, like, my judges and stuff about how, well, it's only this one piece that won. So, and I was like, okay, well then my rule is that one piece you cannot walk in there or walk on the stage with that one piece. If that one piece won something, like you cannot enter. Like it was like their prop had won something. I was like, well then you can't take your prop with you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I understand it's like your whole thing, but like, no, if the prop has won something, then no. And then they did it anyway. And then like they also like won something at a bigger show for the entire cosplay, and then they entered that entire cosplay in again at one of my shows. And it was like a bigger show, like at like one of the Atlanta shows, they won something and then entered into my smaller show and like won something at my smaller show because at the time I didn't know it. And I was like, you want to be a cosplay guest at my convention and you are actively breaking my cosplay contest rules. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? Are you out of your mind? Absolutely not. That person has not been a guest at my show. I will never let that person be a guest at my show. Like, if you can't follow cosplay contest rules that I literally hand you on a piece of paper and explain to you verbally that you sign off on, then why would I let you be a guest at my show? I don't trust you to be impartial. Especially, like, I just don't. Like, 100%. Like, you don't follow the own rules set up. This is, I hate it. It drives me crazy. So now the rule is, like, if any part of your costume has won an award, I'm sorry, you cannot enter it. Like, and like, it's kind of strict because like, yeah, it's like, well, what if I just won Best Pop? It's like, I've been burned so many times about people lying to me about different shit and then entering things that they're not supposed to enter in just because like, I'm not physically there to stop them in some way. So I'm just like, nope, the answer is just no. If it's won an award, you cannot enter into my costume contest. That is it. I'm sorry.
Most contests aren't, and even when they are okay with it, most of the community kind of looks down on it anyway. So you can imagine how mad people were when this person got caught doing both. But before I get to that, I gotta thank Skillshare.
Both? So not only were they like using a cosplay that they personally did not make, they were also fucking using it to sandbag? That's insane.
For sponsoring this video. I've been doing a lot more fun hand-drawn graphics lately because I finally got my hands on Adobe Fresco. And if you've got a new software to learn too, Skillshare is the perfect place. Because Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. And it's got thousands of classes ranging from illustration to design and film to freelance productivity and more. And the classes are all led by industry experts. And Skillshare has some cool new improvements too with smarter class categories, and now you can even search classes by material or software. So if you want to get on the Fresco train, you've got tons of class options, and they're
the key to not getting caught doing something wrong, repetition. Like, just keep doing it. It's fine.
all really
I'm just
easy
like,
to find. This class from Lisk Feng called
I feel
Creative
like
Digital
that's insane,
Illustration
right?
does a great job of taking you through.
Again, like I mentioned this in like a different thing, but like I've had someone that was trying to sandbag. Like they won at my show and then they went to another show and they won using the same costume. And then they went to a third show. And that third show, whoever was running it was friends with someone who was friends with me. And so they had mentioned something and the friend was like, let me get you Chelsworth's information because I think they might have already entered into Chelsworth's costume contest and like won. And so like they contacted me and I was like, yes, here's the picture of them on my winning stage with a trophy in hand. Like they have absolutely won. And I don't even mean judges. Like, I don't mean they won judges pick. They won like their like skill category. Because my show only has like, it has 3 judges picks. It has best novice, best journeyman, best masters, and best in show. Those are all I have. So it's just like skill based. And so like, I'm like, yeah, they won their, I think they were journeymen. I was like, they won best journeyman at my show. And then I think they also went to this other show in this other state and won there. And you're the third one. And they were like, okay, we're going to disqualify them. I was like, yeah, you probably should because they're absolutely sandbagging. Like,
through the basics of my new favorite software. Plus this class called Learn to Draw, an Intro to Drawing Foundations is helping me get back the skills that I have lost over the years since college to maybe take me to higher heights than my weird starfish people. So if you want to get in on thousands of classes in countless creative categories, learn some new creative skills, and maybe even take your career or side hustle to the next level, listen up. Because the first 500 people to use the link in the description will get a
this
1
is
month
my
free
side
trial
hustle.
of
What's
Skillshare.
up?
I'm gonna get back to talking about a cheater, and you can get started with Skillshare today. So this all started on Twitter. And it doesn't start with the cheater, it starts with her victim, Lena Leavy, a talented cosplayer living in Russia with a small following. Back in 2019, Lena created an incredibly detailed cosplay of the characters Seth Nightroad, or Night Lord. I think he has 2 names. From the anime
I haven't seen a red
Blood.
Trinity
She
Blood.
documented the
There is so many, like, really ornate Trinity Blood cosplays out there. Because, like, Trinity Blood has just really ornate, like, outfits, I guess. Like, art. But, like, yeah, dang.
process of making this on her Twitter and even won an award for it. Years later, she ends up selling the cosplay for mere pennies to someone across the world, a Rhode Island cosplayer by the name Myra Theon. Myra had been cosplaying since 2014, and while I was able to find a little bit about her from a few old articles, it's hard to say what she had been up to recently because—
Also, hold up. Is this cosplay... animecons.com. Okay, I was like, is this cosplaycon or cosplay.com? Because that's a throwback. But no, animecon's okay.
Her from a few old articles. It's hard to say what she had been up to recently because, spoiler, she deleted all of her social media
Imagine.
accounts. But I did find this 2017 interview she did with the channel Geeky Panda. And from that, I found out that at the time, she was involved with one of the largest Star Wars charity groups, the 501st Legion. She was also apparently, at that time, a full-time cosplayer doing commission work. And commission work is when you have someone else pay you to make a cosplay for them.
Yep.
And from what I hear, it's one of the most miserable jobs out there, and it's not something anyone should be aspiring to do. Anyway, she talks about her—
I don't know. Some people like it. It just depends, like... I don't know. I've gotten some things I have had commissioned, or I've had things commissioned. And I've had multiple things. I've gone through companies. I've gone through individuals. And when I say I've had things, I like 5 or 6 things. And some things worked out really well. Again, these were like 20 years ago. And then like my best interaction was like God Save the Queen Fashions, who's now just Kathy Jones. She does stuff for Marvel movies. That interaction was the best. And then I also have my friend who used to work for Kathy and now is doing stuff by herself for movies. Like she'll make stuff as well. But like those were the best interactions because they were like semi-local. I could go visit them. I could talk to them. Like we could do like fittings and trying on, and like that was also more professional. It was also more expensive. And I've also been absolutely like not necessarily scammed. I got a product, but it was like the quality wasn't good. So you have to be careful about commissions. But like some people do really good commissions. I mean, especially now in the world of like 3D printing, like a lot of people do like 3D printing commissions where they'll model something, print it off to you, or print it off and then send it to you for you to like finish. So there's like different things, really.
Her most recent cosplay, where she's very upfront that she got some help from some of her friends on some of the armor pieces, but that she did all of the sewing. And she seems like a bright and talented cosplayer who—
Also, I just want to say, the 501st Legion, they are spread out. Basically, there's a bunch of local chapters. Like, it's an overarching, like, community kind of thing. But, like, each, like, city or state will have local chapters.
who said some things that I fully agree with.
My biggest thing is, if you are okay with your costume, then that's perfectly okay. You don't have to make your costume screen accurate. You don't have to be the best at what you do. It is whatever makes you happy, and you do as long as you are comfortable with your costume and you're having fun.
In a different interview, she claims to have sold the rights to a female Titan Zentai suit design to ZentaiZentai.com. And if you have no idea what I just said, do you know those morph suits, those body suits that have printed stuff on them so you can look like Spider-Man or something? Well, she's basically saying she designed that actual graphic that gets printed on those body suits to the largest seller of those kinds of bodysuits. But she apparently didn't like wearing the cosplay anymore because too many people had her design. Okay. She seemed like a talented cosplayer, a proclaimed contributor to ready-made bodysuits. She got help from friends sometimes, but was upfront about it. But flash forward 6 years and she would be saying,
you don't have to make your costume.
Back to Lena. She doesn't know much about the buyer after the cosplay is sold, and never really sees the cosplay or the buyer again until she gets a message.
Yeah, like why would she? She just sold it to someone on the other side of the world. Like she's in Russia. Like, she just sold her cosplay, shipped it out, and was like, I'm okay, bye, I'm done with this.
Somebody messaged Lena asking if Myra was wearing Lena's Seth cosplay, as it looked incredibly similar. Lena tried to look at Myra's page, but she was blocked. But she was able to find an Instagram reel with Myra in it. The reel was posted by a photographer who had gotten a clip of Myra at KatsuCon, and its caption kind of set everything off.
For those of you who don't know what KatsuCon is, it's like what, in Maryland or Washington, D.C. It is one of the cosplay conventions. It has beautiful places to take photographs. It is like, it's always around Valentine's Day, so it's always very close to my convention in Birmingham. But like, it is like the cosplayer convention. So let's see. This person has absolutely nailed the look of the character from the distinctive costume down to the smallest details. I was blown away by the dedication and attention to this character. Okay, also, I just want to say, what do you mean you blocked the seller? That's a red flag right there. Selby, hello. I don't know if it's victory. It might be victory. I don't know. I don't know about other local cons having a similar scandal. I'm not sure about that one. Oh, yes. Actually, there was a smaller convention where someone won an award for, I want to say it was a pair of wings. And she claimed that she had made the wings, but then someone stepped up and was like, no, she purchased these wings from this website or something like that. That's, yeah, the wings.
The photographer wrote, I was blown away by Myra's dedication and attention to detail in bringing this character to life, and that she clearly put a tremendous amount of effort into capturing the essence of the character. Despite what the caption said, this was Lena's Seth cosplay. And yes, it is possible that two people can make a cosplay of the same character and the two cosplays come out almost indistinguishable. But Lena had taken so many artistic liberties with Seth, extra details that made it incredibly clear to Lena and anybody with eyes that this was Lena's Seth. But then what seemed like an innocent photographer's crediting mistake spiraled into a giant cheating scandal because Myra wasn't just telling random photographers.
I mean, to be fair, okay. Not about the cheating. She's like, you know, taking the photographer's accidental mistake or whatever. No, the photographer's like, this person embodies this character. They're not gonna know if it's like I have a really well done Princess Peach cosplay that I didn't make, and if anyone was like, oh my god, how do you make it? It's like, I got it commissioned from Catherine Jones or God Save the Queen Fashions at the time, whatever. Like, I did not personally make this. But like, some people, like, generally they're not going to ask. Like, photographers aren't going to ask. If they want to, like, tag you in a photo, they're just going to ask what your cosplay name is so they can tag you later. Like, they're not going to go into the, like, what's your name? Who made your wig? Who made your cosplay? Who did this? Like, that's not what's going to happen. So, like, it's not really, like, the photographer made a mistake. The photographer tagged the correct, like, the cosplayer, and that's all that means.
Photographers that she made the cosplay. No, she had been entering a cosplay that she bought from another person into craftsmanship contests without Lena's knowledge. And not just once, either.
But also, it's not even necessarily without Lena's knowledge. She shouldn't have been doing this anyway.
She took this cosplay to several cons to compete and even win awards. She allegedly competed in a...
Oh, wait. Hold on. Which Comic Con is this? I can't read it. This Comic Con had drama about their cosplay contest too, and it wasn't from her. It was from some dude not winning and having like a little hissy fit about it because, like, I think this girl won. Either this girl won this costume contest or she wore this as like a joke. I don't know. But like, he was so mad because oh my God, I remember that anyway.
Win awards. She allegedly competed in up to 4 costume contests, but I was
Lord.
only able to find footage of 2 of them. She also allegedly won Best in Show at Kineticon and 2nd place Masters at Anime NYC, but this stuff is really hard to find now because her shit's gone. And the 2 I have footage
no
for
shit.
are her winning Best Needlework at Fan Expo Salt Lake and her competing at the New York Comic Con Crown Championships of Cosplay qualifier where she was rightly beaten out by the GOAT.
Yeah.
Sarcasm, Hime.
Yeah, it was this one. So they won, right? There was a dude that was like a mimic cosplayer or whatever, and he had bought like a lot of props to like glue to his mimic cosplay. And apparently the dude's mimic cosplay, like you could see like glue seams, he had glue wispies, like his paint wasn't that great or whatever. But this dude lost his shit because he didn't win. And then he was like, oh, it's because I'm not a woman. And like, there was so much drama. I swear to God, there was a lot of drama. And like people, I like pulled this up and I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, she has armor work and sewing and painting and all that other stuff going on. She has beading, she has embroidery, she has sewing. I think she has like, she made this crown, which is basically like kind of armor work or like jewelry work and stuff like that. Like I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? So, like, there was, like, this whole thing of, like, oh, he should have won with his little cosplay that, like, all it was, like, semi-armor work, but he also just purchased a lot of props to go on it, and he just glued them down. Like, so it was like, you had one skill that you did, and you apparently didn't do it that well, and all these women are doing multiple skills, and your argument is it's because they're women, and that's why they won. Okay. Like, bro, this person's not even wearing a wig. She made herself, like, whatever's going on here. Like, but all right.
After Lena finds out about this, she tweets about it where she does include proof that Myra was in fact the buyer. To make it even worse, it turns out that the Seth cosplay wasn't even the only cosplay that she bought and passed off as her own.
Damn.
She also bought Kim's Sakizo Necromancer and allegedly competed in that too.
Jesus.
As this is happening, Myra tries to explain herself to Lena. This was just some big misunderstanding, okay? Myra admits outright that the cosplay is in fact...
I didn't know you were blocked. What do you mean you had to block her? I don't understand why people do things. Like, you could have been like, I must have accidentally blocked you. I'm so sorry. Not like, oh, I didn't know anything about it. Like,
Yes. But she claims that she didn't know that Lena was blocked. She admits that she did win an award.
But yeah, I have 2 different costume contests at my shows. I have the craftsmanship one, and then I have exhibition, which is just for fun.
But she claims that she had just used the cosplay as a base, that she had rebuilt and retooled parts of it, and even made a build book for the parts that she remade. She also says that she told all of this to the judges, that she was very upfront that the cosplay had been purchased and retooled.
Doubt.
So there's an interesting thing that Crown Championships does with its stage presentation. When the cosplay...
Like, look at this! Like, corsetry work on this jacket, probably. Like, what, like, how she, like, integrated everything. She's got, like, this thing that's... She's got this prop going on. Like, this is beautiful, and you're mad that this woman won? Like, are you out of your mind? Look at it. Look at it.
Across the stage, the MC reads a little script about how that cosplay was made. And that script is written by the cosplayer. So while Jeremy Carey, is reading this script, these are Myra's words.
This costume features over 5,000 hand-sewn beads and crystals, displaying techniques such as deconstruction of lace, warbler, EVA foam, laser printing, corsetry, prop work, and more. It took over 3 months of work and required copious amounts of midnight Taco Bell trips to complete. Y'all give it up!
Suffice it to say, not all of Myra's statements really line up. She also claims that the award she got for needlework was just for some embroidery that she herself added to the cosplay, but I'm sorry, needlework categories encompass all of sewing, and I know she didn't change any of the sewing for reasons I'll get to later. She does say that there were some cons that didn't place her because the cosplay wasn't entirely handmade, which could easily be true, and if I were to speculate and allege on my own, this is speculation. I think that, you know, it's possible that she got that feedback and then realized it was probably good to omit that information. And
Yeah, basically she entered it into cosplay contest. They were like, you're disqualified because you didn't fucking make this. And then she started spinning a different story.
in the future. She also then apologizes for the photographer, saying that the photographer just misunderstood what she said, which could be completely believable. I wanted to reach out to the photographer, but then I realized most of his content now is putting eggs in camera bodies, and I was a little horrified anyway.
Why?
So we do know it's the same costume.
Why? I'm also horrified by that.
But do we have any proof that
Maybe it's
she
a broken
did
camera.
make major changes to the thing, and how many changes would be enough to warrant competing in it? Unfortunately, because all Myra's accounts are gone, it's really hard for me to find high quality photos of the cosplay on her. But what I do have is her statement from Crown. Remember, she wrote this. These are her words.
This costume features over 5,000 hand-sewn beads and crystals.
I'm gonna be fair and I'm gonna give her this one. There is actually one difference between when Myra owned it and when Lena owned it. If you look at the footage from Crown, you can see that on the edges of some of the armor, there is a sparkling glint. And in this photo, there's a weird pink sheen coming off of those edges, which makes me think that those are AB rhinestones. And there are close-up pictures of Lena in the armor, and there's no rhinestones right there. So this one is actually true, but it goes downhill from here.
Displaying techniques such as deconstruction of lace.
How are you deconstructing lace that's already on the costume? Lena has progress pictures of the lace going on, and that's a lie.
Warbler, EVA foam, laser printing, prop work, and more.
We know Lena did those too, and I see no difference on the foam work other than the added rhinestones.
Corsetry.
This one's probably the most egregious, but I'm gonna wait a second for it.
It took over 3 months of work and required copious amounts of midnight taco.
Yeah, it does look like she put a lot of like rhinestones on this, because like she's got rhinestones on the hat and stuff too, and like it looks like maybe randomly here. Either that or she had some beadings and stuff like that.
Belt trips to complete.
Guess she ordered extra liar pants on fire sauce. And it's not mentioned, but I do
The Taco Bell is pretty funny.
believe that she at least modified some tights because hers are different than Lena's. But even with all of that,
Yeah, I mean, sorry. It does look like maybe like she added more straps or whatever going up, and she probably, like Lena probably didn't send her the tights. Like tights are something you could just easily purchase. Reaper, thanks for the follow. Tights are something you can easily purchase. Like We Love Colors always has like their full color range available in different things. So she probably just bought tights and then she probably added more straps going up the tights.
modified some tights because hers are different than Lena's. But even
Yeah, I do feel like she added more like, I guess, sparkle to different things. Go up. Okay. Yeah, she definitely added more sparkles to the hat too.
Lena's. But even with all of that, we do have high quality photos of that necromancer cosplay I mentioned, and with my several months of experience looking at r/find the sniper posts for way too long, I can confidently say that I see no
Actually, it does look like she removed some binding at the top of the sleeves.
difference in the necromancer cosplays whatsoever. So in my opinion, all she actually did to rework the cosplay was make new tights, add a bunch of rhinestones, and I will give her the overly fair assumption that somewhere on the cosplay, she did some extra embroidery. You don't need to know a lot about cosplay to know that that doesn't come anywhere near the 70% rule that most contests require, but I know
It really does not. Welcome. It really doesn't come anywhere near 70%. Like you just adding a few embellishments is not you hand making that costume. It's you adding embellishments. That's it. Like It is not you constructing this cosplay.
A lot about cosplay, so I want to point some things out that Lena would have had to do to make this thing. The thing that sets making cosplays apart from making normal clothing is that most cosplays are almost always impossible garments drawn with no regard for the laws of physics or normal garment construction. And
Correct.
Seth Nightroad exemplifies that. The first hurdle of all cosplays, but especially complicated ones, is figuring out what the fuck the character is.
What kind of hat is that? How do you keep that on your head? Is this a dress? What's on the back? Why are all the references different? How many skirts are there?
Even wearing. And I'm sure that it took Lena long hours to even know where to start on patterning this thing. Patterns are the templates that we use to make garments. And if you want to make a pair of jeans, you just go to the store and buy a jeans pattern. But when you have a weird outfit like this, you have to pattern it yourself. It takes time and measurements and drafting and
And be honest, what I do, which is, you know, I don't really judge things anymore. But like what I do, because I'm fucking lazy, if I'm making cosplays, I will go and buy multiple patterns that have the shape or the seams where I want them. And I will just Frankenstein that shit together. Because I don't want to do math if I can help it. Like, I just don't want to do math and try to figure it out. Like, I will just straight up be like, cool, I need a sleeve shape like this. I need a bodice shape like this. I need the seams here so they can alter it. I need a skirt that's like this. I need another skirt that's like this. And I will figure it the fuck out.
Pre-drafting to get it right, and while it's easy for me to point out all of the intricate details that went onto this cosplay, the intricate lace detailing, the subtle airbrushing on that armor, the perfectly smooth warbler work, I want to specifically point out that this cosplay's very foundation would have been a challenge on its own. And Lena pulled it off
it's crazy.
really well. Patterning a cosplay yourself in these big competitions is a big deal. If you didn't write the roadmap for your cosplay and somebody else did for theirs, when everybody's work is amazing, every skill counts. And it's kind of just another point towards the audacity of thinking you could enter a cosplay contest in a cosplay that you bought and retooled. Even if you ripped apart every seam, took apart all the armor and rebuilt everything from scratch, using Lena's only as a pattern, she still didn't pattern it. Not to mention the lace she didn't have to find. The ungodly structure for whatever that thing is on the back that she didn't have to figure out at all. And while
Just
she didn't
like,
place
I'm sorry.
ungodly
This, whatever the fuck this is and how it exists. Like, there has to be like a thing where we probably can't see it. I assume she's got like a corset or like a structure within like the back of this that this thing kind of slots into so it can quote unquote float. So like the weight is against her back, if that makes sense. Like, that's the only way I can figure out this working. Like, this thing that is just floating behind her. Like, legitimate.
structure for whatever.
But also, I can't fucking see it. Like, she moves so fast and there's not like a zoom in on it. So I don't fucking know. Hold on. The lighting is also not great. Yeah, I have no idea. That's just how I assume it would be. But like, also, there's kind of no telling because it like she can move her arms around, so it's not connected to her arms, I don't think.
For whatever that thing is on the back that
I'm like mystified by whatever the fuck this thing
she
is.
didn't have to.
Okay, I feel like it's anchored here. I could be wrong, but like this is bouncing in like a similar way to like this part, so I feel like it's anchored like here.
To figure out at all. And while she didn't place at Crown, she did place at Fan Expo Salt Lake, where she had claimed that she only got that needlework award for the added embroidery. But it turns out that was actually a Judge's Choice Award for needlework. And in the video, it seemed like the judge that gave her that award was Marielle Clark. Judges' awards can be given for any reason, but I decided to reach out to Marielle about this. I was apparently wrong. Marielle apparently wasn't actually a stage judge and was just presenting the award. But she was involved with that contest's online prejudging and was able to tell me that if there had been any indication that the cosplay had been commissioned, that she would have immediately been disqualified.
Yep.
I also reached out to the amazing Merida, who was one of the judges at the NYCC Crown qualifier, and who also is probably the most prolific cosplay pattern maker in the world. Anyway, she did remember judging Myra, but
Pattern goat.
unfortunately, she could not remember whether or not Myra had mentioned anything about the cosplay being purchased or commissioned or not. She said it was possible, but that she just couldn't remember.
Yeah, she does explain things really well, but she's also like, she's been judging she's a cosplay judge too, so she explains things really well. It's just like, I've had people come up and go, I bought this costume, but I changed it. And I'm like, okay, how do you change? So like, can I enter it? And I was like, how did you change it? And they're like, well, I took it in. And I was like, then no. And they're like, but I altered it. And I was like, no. And then they'll be like, oh, I seam ripped it, but then I sewed it back together. And I'm like, still, like, you didn't pattern it. You didn't cut the fabric out. You literally, like, that's not the same as you hand making it. Like, someone already did the brunt work for you. Like, it's a thing. Like, you have to have done the majority of the work, and you did not do the majority of work. If you bought a pre-made cosplay and you took it in so that it fits you a little better. I'm 100%. I buy fucking pre-made cosplays, and I will do the same thing, where I will take it in, or I'll even be super lazy and use like safety pins or some shit to just like fit it a little bit better. Or like I get like mitten clips with the elastic on them, and I'll use that to like cinch stuff in or whatever. There's different things you can do. I'm lazy, by the way, if you don't know. There's different things you can do to make your cosplay fit you a little bit better and look a little bit better on you. I know one of the things that people like to do is they like to add rhinestones to their costumes to add sparkle and make it look a little bit more luxe or whatever. You can do that. That's totally fine. That doesn't mean you made that cosplay. I'm not saying, hey, I made my Wei Wu Shen cosplay because I put mitten clips on the back of it so it fits me a little tighter. Like, that's not true. I did not do that. Like, I made my scumbag villain cosplay because I sewed some snaps on it. Like, no, I didn't. I like altered it a little bit so that it looks better on my body. But I didn't make it. I'm not going to enter it into a costume contest. That's insane. Like,
don't really have any solid evidence whether or not she did or did not lie to judges. But with what Marielle said, it is possible that that information was either omitted or misunderstood. I've judged long enough to look out for people that are lying because I've had it happen before. One of the things that I've seen people do is buy a piece of commercial clothing and then claim that they made it. And with commercial clothing, there are actually some very specific and easy...
I have a serger that can do this seam. This seam is not what you think it is. I have a serger that can do the seam. I have never used it for that. And it is a very expensive serger. But like, you have to get very specific machines or very specific sergers in order to do this, like this right here, like what you see on a t-shirt. And you don't know that. So when I go like, oh yeah, you made this t-shirt, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool, what did this seam and this seam? And they're like, my mom's sewing machine, and I'm like, what kind is it? A Singer? No. Like, I'm just like, no. I'm sorry, it is a very specific thing that does that, and it is not just your mom's Singer sewing machine. Like, nope.
Telltale signs that it is not handmade, and there are some very specific questions that I can ask people that if they...
Also, sometimes it's really hard to find specific types of fabric easily. So like garments that you buy at like Walmart or Target or like whatever, you can't usually find that fabric at your local like fabric store. Like sometimes you can, but for the most part, no. Like it's not as easy as you think it is. So like you can kind of figure out like, oh, this is like very much not a fabric you can just easily get either sometimes. Clop, hello,
They
welcome.
don't know enough about sewing, they won't know the answer to it. That stuff is very easy to catch. What's harder or even impossible to catch?
And I go to Atlanta and I go to Fine Fabrics or Gales. I can try to send you some fabric websites too, but for the most part, I have to physically touch things to see if it's gonna lay the way you want it to. Because that's a whole thing, okay? Is this gonna lay the way I think it's gonna lay? I also there's like a place that sells like a lot of silk, and I bought like their sample book. So like they gave me a bunch of, I think it's maybe even, it's not Oriental Trading, I forgot what it is. But basically they sell a lot of dyes and stuff, and they have like dyeable fabric, and so I bought like their catalog of like samples fabrics, which is just little squares of fabric, so I can like move it around in different ways to see how it would drape. It's a whole thing.
Is handmade work made by someone else. However, there are some systems in place for con runners and judges to be able to tell if somebody did actually make that cosplay. Some cons go as far as to check the competitor's social media profiles for in-progress pictures.
And thank you for the gifted sub. Good night, Dalton.
Or prior work photos, but not all cons do that. Most cons primarily rely on build books. Build books are short! Please stop making them 16 pages long, short pamphlets that usually consist of a bunch of progress photos of that cosplay. Their primary use is to help show the judges.
I will say my con doesn't require build books. Occasionally people will bring build books. My con doesn't require build books. Most of the people that come and participate at my con, and this is like baby's first cosplay contest, or this is local cosplay contest, I don't think my cosplay contests warrant build books, to be honest. That's just me personally. And also the amount of people that wouldn't understand what I'm talking about if I was like, hey, do you have a build book with you? They're not going to understand that. I'm not like crazy high level cosplay contest, so, but I do think like stuff like Katsucon and like a bunch of other big conventions probably do require build books, and I think it makes sense for them.
How that cosplay was made, because most costume contests have pre-judging, which is where judges get to look at the cosplay up close before the stage show, but often pre-judging times can be as short as 3 minutes long, so build books also serve as a way to make sure you get all the information out that you need to without forgetting it in the 3-minute word vomit that you are allotted. And having photos of that cosplay in the process of being made is usually enough to prove that that person made that cosplay, except in this case, Lena had posted a lot of work in progress photos on her Twitter without herself in any of them.
Yeah.
Yeehaw! Anyway, here's how I know for sure that she didn't actually make any changes besides the rhinestones, that she didn't use Lena's as a pattern, and that the corsetry claim is not just a straight up—
Okay, wait. We saw it. I was right. That's how it's connected. It's got little sticks. I don't know if it goes all the way around or if it's just on the two sides. There's a little stick right there.
Just a straight up lie, but kind of a stupid thing to say. One telltale aspect of all of this that I have not mentioned yet is fit. Now, I want to make it really clear that judges should not and will not take into account your size versus the character's size. Your body.
But you have to make something that fits your body. So like if the thing that you're wearing doesn't fit you, and they're gonna like, because the overall like look of the cosplay and how it is constructed, it was not constructed for you, right? They're gonna be sus.
Shape, your race, your gender, nothing about the body inside the cosplay matters, because your body indicates absolutely nothing about your craftsmanship. But the way a cosplay fits that body does. Because fit is a part of craftsmanship. And in the video from Crown, when she turns around, you can see that the cosplay is open in the back. This is why I'm pretty confident that the corsetry claim.
This is the backplate that holds up the hanging structure. These are straps for that backplate. Yeah. Oof. Even if the cosplayers ate good the day before, like, it's different from, like, this was made for a significantly or not a significantly, but this is made for someone who's, like, 2 sizes smaller than this other person. Like, I'm not saying that she can't add panels to it. You can add back panels to it, like, whatever. You could add a corsetry back to it. Like, you can alter things to fit you better. Again, I try to buy my cosplays slightly too big and then alter them smaller. But there are things you can do to alter a too small cosplay to fit you better, and a lot of that is just adding panels, adding corsetry to the back of it or to the side of it or whatever. Like, there's a lot. You can also, the undergarments you choose to wear. You can, there's stuff when I wear, like, I bought a corset specifically that is made to be worn under things and it's supposed to be seamless. Like, you could do stuff like that, but also cosplayers don't eat when they're cosplaying. I mean, they kind of do, but for the most part, even if it was like the day before, like, your body has time to, like, get over the, like, basically while they're making stuff, whatever they're making, they're eating while they're constructing this costume. Okay. So, like, their body isn't going to be weirdly, like, swollen from them eating the day before because they've been eating the whole time they were making the costume and fitting it to themselves. So, like, that shouldn't be a problem. And, like, they probably day of, if they're anything like me, they're not really eating the day of, if that makes sense. Because, one, if you were just, like, cinched in, like sometimes I am, you don't want to eat because you feel like you're going to throw up or you're, like, bloated or whatever. And then, 2, you're just busy. Like, you're going for, like, it was a lot to get you in it. You're now in it. You don't want to have to take any of it off to eat. You don't want to, like, have to, like, how easily are you able to sit down? What are you wearing? Do you want to sit down to try to eat? Like, do you want to run the risk of getting something on your cosplay? Is there something simple for you to eat? Like, maybe you're just eating little snacks the day of. Like, it's a whole thing.
Name is a lie because I'm pretty sure that I would be able to see.
Okay, this is something black that could be a corset, but it's a little low to even be an underbust corset. Even if it is a corset, it's not part of the cosplay. It's underwear. This is her skin.
A corset, and I see her skin. Maybe the corsetry claim is some kind of reference to.
Take all of this with a grain of salt. At this quality, it's hard to tell what's really
some
going on.
Boning that might be in the dress that I can't see and wouldn't really have a reason to be there because it goes over the shoulders, but the dress closes with an invisible zipper. It's not a corset. In Lena's.
Which, unfortunate, you could have put a corsetry back in there and it would have probably looked a little bit cleaner. It would have been hard, depending on how it's structured. It would have been probably hard to do, but...
Pictures, it is fully closed, meaning that originally it did close in the back. You'd think that if you were going to make changes to this cosplay, so many changes, in fact, that you thought you were allowed to compete in it, you'd think the first thing you do is make it actually fit you. You're like, yeah, it is legitimately harder to make a garment bigger than make it smaller, but it is nowhere near impossible. You remade the outrageously intricate pieces, but you couldn't add in an extra green panel or make it a lace-up back so that it could close? Nah, it's just easier to use that back plate to cover up the gap. Is it possible that Myra was just ignorant to what is expected of cosplayers in this contest? Most contests make that 70% rule pretty clear. But like, how do you calculate the percentage of a cosplay? By weight? She might have legitimately thought that adding the rhinestones was enough. And if she were a brand new cosplayer, I might believe that. Because, I don't know, if we gauge how much the general public knows about these contests by how the general public generally reacts to most public costume contests with their, why did the dress beat the Big Mac? People don't
Yeah.
understand these contests. It's kind of a problem. But
Yeah.
Myra had been cosplaying for a decade at this point and was involved in large community groups. So I think she knew what she was doing. And the best indicator I have of her guilt is the fact that she blocked Lena. While this behavior is a giant outlier of Audacity, it is a perfect example of how Yeehaw Cowboy Wild West, the cosplay competition scene, truly is. We don't have a standardized set of rules for these contests for cons to follow.
We don't, but like we also kind of do. Like generally, for most, I feel, and I could be proven wrong. I don't know every single conventions, but my understanding, right, of like cosplay contests is it has it won an award before, then you cannot enter it. Did you not make it? Then you cannot enter it. Like those are kind of like the two, right? You had to have made it yourself, and you can't have won an award somewhere else in it. Like that's kind of like my overarching knowledge of cosplay contests, like even before I started like running the one at Comic-Con or like was whatever. So like 16 plus years ago, that was kind of like the understanding, right? And it's only like evolved since and like gotten stricter since, because there's more things available to you now on the internet. So like it's like the two main rules usually. And I guess there's like someone's like, well, they don't care if you like won an award somewhere else. And I'm like, there's nuances usually to those rules. Like, I don't care if you won an award at a smaller convention. Then my convention, you can enter it in, is what some conventions do. And then some conventions are like, I don't care at all. I've never actually run into anyone that's like, I don't care at all. That is like a mid-sized up convention. Like mid-sized up conventions, it's like if you've won an award, you cannot enter it unless it was a judge's award or an award significantly smaller. Something like that, maybe. But like, it is kind of Wild West. Everyone has different rules and nuances and stuff, which means you have to kind of read the rules or have the rules explained to you to see if you qualify, which is something that we have to do. But like, you had to have made it yourself as like general, like it's a craftsmanship contest. If you didn't make it, you can't be judged on it.
And we don't have a 100% guaranteed way to know if somebody made the cosplay that...
Except it's not that they're unwritten rules. They're written in every single cosplay contest rule thing page. Every convention generally, I mean, not every. Okay, I'm sure there are some that don't. All the ones that, for the most part, I go to that have legitimate craftsmanship competitions have a page on their website that explains to you the rules of that craftsmanship competition. And they all say you had to have made it yourself. You had to have made X percentage of it yourself by hand from scratch. And they usually go further and like, if you did not make this cosplay, you cannot enter it. Unless the person that made it is the one that is entering it and you are modeling it. Like, it's explained. But people don't read rules. People don't go and look out and try to find information. I'm like an outlier. I try to find any information because I don't ever want to have to talk to another human being. Put that shit in writing where I can find it. Thank you.
they're wearing. Crown Championships is one of the biggest contests in the world, and nobody was able to catch her because she bought a handmade cosplay from a small creator thousands of miles away. And I really don't blame the con runners or the staff or the judges in the contest she competed in for not catching this, because she could have easily fooled me. The wildest thing to me, honestly, is why? For prize money? For attention? For me and most people that I know that compete, we don't really do it for the prizes. Like, the prizes are very cool. We look forward to the prizes. We like prizes. Please give us prizes. The reason why we break our backs and cry and sweat and bleed for these things is because we want to be proud of our abilities and our work. We want validation and approval from knowledgeable judges. And we want feedback from those judges on how we can improve and grow as makers. And all Myra really did is prove that Lena's work is so immaculate that it led several people to ignore a glaring fake.
Yeah.
There's links to Lena's profiles in the description, by the way. You should go follow her, She's very talented. Myra has deleted all of their accounts, but if they ever come back from their shame walk, do not go bother them because I will call your mom. No bullying. Don't go bully people. They made up a...
Just ignore them. That'll bother them more than anything. I've been in a few cosplay contests, generally when I was younger, and like I won an award at like a local one, like a small convention, and I was like, cool. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And like no offense. And like people really get into it and I get it. I just want to vibe and have fun in my cosplay. So for the most part, like I don't do cosplay contests anymore. It's a lot and I just don't have the energy for it or the care. I don't know if I necessarily have the skill set either. Like I don't want to put that much effort into something. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm literally just here to have fun, and my version of fun is not necessarily walking across the stage. And I get other people do like that, and maybe it's because I talk on a stage every year for different reasons anyway. So like it's not all that rare for me or something, but like, you know.
Lie and made some judges and organizers feel like fools, and I am so sure that when this happened, her DMs and her comments were full of awful, mean things that opened up wounds that can never be crunch wrapped up. And I feel really bad, actually.
The Taco Bell callback.
Giving out her cosplay name, because while I can tell you not to go bug her all day long, it's still entirely possible that people will. But there is nothing stopping her from buying another cosplay from somebody who doesn't know anything about this and entering another competition with judges who have never heard of this before and doing this again. Except this time, it would be really hard to find out if she did because she's not posting anything on social media anymore, and the only reason she got caught in the first place was because she posted the cosplay. I kind of want to warn as many people as I can so that nobody befalls the same fate as Lena. This girl made an amazing cosplay and somebody else ran around shrouded in her blood, sweat, and tears, and whether intentionally or through misunderstanding, erased her contribution. But I don't know, she didn't kill anybody. But if you see her enter a cosplay contest, maybe show the staff this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel.
That's like do what one of my no longer friends used to do, and just every time there was drama, make another fucking account and with a slightly different name and like run on that account for a little while. One of my friends used to do that. I'm not friends with that person anymore. But like, you know, just have alternate fucking accounts that you can post on every time the drama catches up with you. Jesus.
Channel directly, you can check out my Patreon where you'll get some exclusive content. But if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sending the video to a friend or your mom, or subscribing, please subscribe. Then you're supporting the channel too, so thank you. And hey, this is your very aggressive reminder to register to vote. And a big thank you to my newest big support tier patrons: Angelic, Dolly, Cup, the Dumb Mute, Savannah, Holly, Logan, Ellie, Wild Whist, and Aya Baka. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Bye. But yeah, like it. There's the cosplay community, cosplaying in general. There's so much drama involved because it's like beauty pageants. I just want to hang out. Like, generally, I just want to, like, be in my little cosplay, and if there's anyone else cosplaying from the same show as me, I want to take a selfie with them to post on Instagram. That's all I want to do. I want to geek out a little bit. I want to, like, also squeal and squeak and be like, same show! Take a picture with me! And, like, be happy for, like have that serotonin for 5 minutes. Like, that's what I'm there for. I'm gonna be honest. You know, people will come up and be like, oh, can I take a picture? I was like, oh, yeah. And that gives you, like, a little boost of serotonin. But, like, the number one thing for me is seeing someone else in either the same costume, the same character, or just from the same show. And, like, also it makes you feel good because, like, you run up to them, or I run up to them, and I'm like, oh my God, can I take a selfie with you? And then they're usually really excited too. And so it's just like nice. It feels like a community situation, right? Like we like the same thing, yeah! Like, but I've also gotten people that like have mean mugged me, like given me like gross side eye and just walked away without talking to me. Like they're offended that I'm cosplaying the same character. Like they own the fucking character or some shit. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand the drama. Like, yeah, okay, we can all be. There was one year where I was fucking live action Cinderella. I didn't make my dress. I bought that shit. Like, I just bought it. I was having a good time. I wasn't entering into cosplay contests. I was just vibing. And like, I saw another live action Cinderella like across the hallway, and I was like, "Oh my god, hi! Can I take a picture?" And like, I was trying to like get to her, and she gave me the meanest, nastiest look, turned her back to me, and just kept walking. And I was like, "Okay, like never mind." Chicken High, thanks for the follow. Like, never mind. I don't understand why we have to be mean to everybody. Like, I just wanted to take a selfie with you. I wasn't trying to be. I don't even know. Like, I wasn't going to be like, oh, look, I'm a better Cinderella. I was just going to be like, Cinderella. Like, bruh. I don't know. Usually, though, like, when I do a lot of this with, like, My Hero Academia cosplayers because, like, there's always a lot of them. And I am never in, like, the hero outfit. I'm always in either the school outfit or the school sports outfit because those are the two that I have. And so I would, like, I'm always Uraraka, and I'd be like, oh, my God, there's another character from My Hero. And I would get so many pictures. I would have to make multiple posts on Instagram to get all of them. And they're always happy. Like, the other people are always happy to take selfies with you. And it feels so good. And MXTX cosplayers, Don May cosplayers, they're also always happy to take a selfie with you. I don't understand why it has to be so much drama. But there's so much drama in the cosplay community. I'm still involved in it, but, you know. So, like, I'm not surprised that there's so much cheating and sandbagging and all kinds of other stuff. Like, it kind of sucks, and I kind of wish that wasn't a thing. But it is.